Hi, welcome to Melmo Wood from the beautiful North Wales. Are you a beginner woodworker? Do you want to get one of your projects proudly on display and in use in your house? This is the video to watch. As you can see, my workshop's still a mess. Watch a series of videos of me changing this garage into a usable workshop. Dead easy today, guys. All you need is some 2x2 or 3x2, so that's 50mm by 50mm or 75mm by 50mm wood. To make this project, you could use a handsaw. I'm going to be using a miter saw. You can use stainless steel screws, or you can use wooden dowels. Everything really simple. We'll have this knocked out in no time. Check these images out. This is what we're going to make. We're going to make a towel rack. They're all over the place at the moment. They're on Etsy, Amazon, all the big selling places. And they're made out of different woods, as I've said before. I'm going to use 50mm by 50mm. Okay, using my miter saw, I'm just going to clean this edge off, make sure it's absolutely aligned and square. I'm now going to cut a nice miter on this. I'm going to cut it at 45 degrees. You can do this with a handsaw and a miter gauge. You can have your towel rack any length that you want or height that you want. I'm going to have mine a meter. I'm just going to measure that out now. And this doesn't have to be wholly accurate, so long as both lengths are of equal size. Now, in order to cut this so that my miter's on the right side, I'm just going to flip the wood over. Now, need to flip the wood over again. I've got a big knot. I don't want that in there. Let's get rid of that first. So I just make sure that the end is fully aligned and flush. With the wood aligned on that one side, I can then slide the wood along, no power on, bring the blade down, and just gently bring that wood up till it just kisses the blade. And then we know it's the same length. Take the first piece we cut away, and then we can cut the second piece. We've now got equally sized lengths of wood, and this is the height of the rack. Now we need to make the depth, how far away from the wall it's going to be. For mine, I've decided to use a miter joint. That's why I've cut it at 45 degrees. So we're going to have a joint like this. What you could decide though, depending on your skill level and the equipment you've got, is a butt joint. Just square end up to the top, and it's exactly the same, and you just secure through the joint there with either a dowel or a screw. I now need to do it at 90 degrees, so I'll just reset the miter saw. I know I want it 20 centimeters away from the wall, so I'm going to measure the depth. But I need 20 centimeters for the towel plus the 50 centimeters of the depth. So I'm going to come 50 millimeters, sorry. So I'm going to come 25 centimeters out. Again, for me, I'm not measuring, so I'm just going to reset to 45 degrees again. I'm going to reset it to 90. Remember, I'm not going to measure it, I'm going to use the original piece I cut. So make sure it's flush on the end, no power, bring the blade down. Then just slide that wood till it kisses the blade, and that's going to be your measurement. There's two pieces, so the one section I need 4 because we've got 2 uprights. Now if you imagine these are the upright pieces, we need to set the distance apart And for you, that's how wide your towels are. For me, I've measured my towels. I know I need them 1 foot or 30 centimetres apart as the minimum, and that's the size of my smallest towel. My bath towels will overhang that width. So now I need to cut a batten of wood to separate the two uprights. Whichever process you're using for these, whether it's mitre joints or butt joints, these two pieces which separate the uprights are butt joints for both methods. Point to note, remember to take account of the depth of the wood as well, which in my case is 50 millimeters or 2 inches, and we need to allow for that on the distance of the wood that's going to be apart, so we need the joints in the middle to be slightly shorter. Because I'm using 2x2 or 50mm by 50mm wood, my wood in the centre, my battens in the centre, needs to take that into account. So that's 50mm either side, so that's 100mm, and I'm doing a 300mm or 30 centimetre joint, so I need to make it 20 centimetres. So that'll be 2-inch wood, 2 inches either side. If you're doing it a foot apart, you need to take the 4 inches off, so you will have to make it 8 inches wide, these joints. More straightforward cutting this time, just going to be on the level all the time. I've made my mark, 20 centimetres, let's get these cut. Again, you need 4 pieces, so I've now got all the basics cut. So that's the 4 spacers, 2 uprights, and 4 pieces for the depth of the rack. I'm mindful I'm rushing through this video because it's a relatively quick build. If you need to slow it down, just pause the video, rewind it to the section that you need, and re-watch it till you understand what I'm doing. It's relatively straightforward, but until you get your mind around it, you know, we all learn, don't we? Embarrassingly, my workshop or garage is such a mess, I've had to come into the house and I'm going to work in the kitchen for the glue up. Fortunately, my partner's not here, she's at work. I'm sure a lot of us do this sometimes, don't we? If we're honest with ourselves. Anyway, I'm going to keep this glue up really simple. I'm not going to use any fancy clamps, any fancy joint holders or anything like that. I'm just going to use masking tape. What's really important is you use waterproof glue. I happen to be using Titebond 3, but any waterproof glue will do. Remember, it's going in the bathroom. So I'm going to take the long section and a short section. And using masking tape is such a simple way to do this. I'm going to take a length of masking tape. I'm going to lay it on the worktop. I've got some brown paper to protect the worktop, and then I'm going to put the length on it, make sure it's stuck down. Apply the glue. Now, glue on its own won't be strong enough for this joint. That's why you're going to use nails or dowels. And those nails or dowels will reinforce this joint. You spread the glue about. Now, with it being end grain, the glue soaks into the end grain like a load of straws. So I'm just going to glue the opposite side as well. Now, some people will put glue on and allow it to dry and then reapply it. But for this, because we're going to reinforce the joint anyway, I'm not going to do that, but it's your choice. Now, what we do is just make sure that the ends are perfectly aligned. So bring the wood up, put the joints perfectly, make sure it's properly aligned on the sides and along the length, and rest that on the masking tape, and then bring the masking tape up and over. Allow that to squeeze in. wipe away some of the excess glue. That's that side partially ready. I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. And now what we're going to do is use another length of masking tape. And this will pull the wood together. Just pull it, a little tension on it, and there we go. Just make sure your wood's aligned properly still and there's been no movement. I'm just going to set that one aside and repeat it for the other upright. Well, I hope you kept up so far. At this point, you should have the two main sections of the towel rack glued up and drying. We're going to leave these for an hour or so before we go into the next section, which is to strengthen these joints. I've left these sections for a couple of hours now, so that glue's dry enough for us to work with. And now I just need to strengthen these joints. So what I have is rather long dowels. I'm going to drill a hole from the base. So if you do it from the base, it's not really going to be in view. You could do it from the front and make it a feature. And then, as you can see, the dowel is long enough to go through one section and into the other section and secure and firm up that joint. But we need to drill some holes in there now. I'm going to mark that up and make sure we've got them central. So even though you can't really see them, I don't want it to be all ski-whippy. I need it to look nice anyway. So in order to mark that up, I've got a cut-off piece of the same size wood. I'm going to get that so it's level on the end. I'm leaving the masking tape in place and I'll just score across. Now we've got a square section, 50mm by 50mm, which is the same as the wood. I'm just going to use this scrap piece with a straight edge, so you could use a ruler, and I'm going to go from corner to corner. Same the other way around. That now gives us a centre mark where I'm going to drill and fit the dowel. I'm going to repeat that on all four corners. Now, in order to know how deep we need the hole, we've got the dowel that we're using, and we can measure that on the depth of the drill. To take the guesswork out, we'll put a bit of a flag on. I'm going to take that a bit shallower, actually, and I'll show you why in a second. So that's how deep I want it. If you can see the dowel, see the little concave bit? Well, I don't want that showing because that's going to show us a recess in the wood. So I'm going to cut it a little bit shallower so that we got the flat section, and then we'll sand it back. I'll show you in a second. Now I'm using a wood drill, which you may be able to see has this spike on the end. I'm going to use that spike to locate. Now, quick tip, time for a Milmo wood top tip.
A Milmo wood top tip
Is I'm going to start the drill in reverse. This just breaks the fibres on top of the wood, and then I'm going to put it into forward and drill the hole to the flag depth. Try and keep the drill as straight as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Now, because of these chip-ins, this will block the drill. So periodically, just bring the drill bit back up. Can you see how the chip-ins have blocked the drill? then back in again. That'll just help you drill better. I've drilled to the depth of the flag that we've put on. Again, using waterproof wood glue. Just going to put some wood glue in there, not too much because you don't want to block the hole of the dowel. Then I'm going to take a dowel and seat that in the hole. And at this point you will need to use a hammer or a mallet and just gently tap it into place. And you can see that's forced wood glue out, so that will be surrounding the dowel. Now, I've left masking tape on, so I don't really need to wipe that wood glue off, but I will do, and I'll just use my finger to do that. And I'll repeat that on all four corners. Well, my garage may still be crowded, but I'll find room. There's no way I'm going to sand these down in the kitchen. So we're ready to go. They're glued, the dowels are glued, removed the masking tape, and I'm going to sand these right down now before we fully assemble the pieces together. No need to watch me sanding. I guess you get bored of that enough on your own. So join me back when I finish sanding. Well, I've sanded everything now. I've gone from 80 grit down to 120 grit. You could go down to 240, but I think 120 is fine. Remember the little joints that we cut? So we got the main frame. I'm now going to join these with these little joint pieces. We're going to do a very similar activity. We're going to find the center, I'm going to drill it, and then I'm going to put a dowel in there. But of course, like the other joints, you could just screw through and screw them together. To find the center, same process. I'm going to do diagonal lines across. Bit awkward trying to keep it on camera as well. And where they intersect, that's going to be where we're going to do the drill hole for the dowel. Now, as we've not used the jig to put the holes in the end, you can see I've done there now. I'm just going to number these so that we can locate them easily, because there's going to be a slight variation in the hole. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to mark left and right, left and right. And that way, when we mark up the main section of the body, we know where these are going to be located. Now, I've got some little dowel markers here. They've basically got a little pinprick on. Just going to place these into one of the holes and see how they sit. Now, that's number 1 right hand. So decide which part of the body you want to be number 1 right hand. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to put number 1 at the back. In the ones on the internet, they only have these joints at the back. I'm also going to put some at the front though as well. You don't have to, that's my choice. I've got a future idea for this towel rack. And all I'm going to do is line the back. I can do this with my fingers. Feel that there, and align the sides. And then I'm just going to push in with that dowel pin. And then if I turn that round, probably if I mark that with a pencil, it's made a little indentation in the wood there. And that's where I know to drill for the dowel location. I'm also going to mark that as number 1 right hand side. So that matches number 1 right hand side. Likewise, I'm going to do number 2 to the front, and number 2 right hand side. Put my little dowel locator in the hole. Align the wood by touch, and then When you're happy, squeeze in. And again, that's left a little indentation in the wood there. I'm going to do that on all pieces now. Mark the holes now, and now we're going to drill to receive the dowels. I've still got the existing flag that we used originally, but I only need to go half the depth. So again, into the hole that we made, hold the drill as straight as possible. No need to go backwards here because this is going to be hidden. All the holes drilled, let's get to putting some dowels in. Nearly done. Hope you're enjoying the project so far. If you like the video, why not consider subscribing, pressing the like button, or even sharing with friends? It'd really help me. I'd be very grateful if you would. Anyway, let's crack on. Enough of that promotion. So we're just going to put some glue. Again, waterproof glue. I'm going to start with number 1 section. Some glue in the hole, then around the end grain. That's just going to soak up, so I'm going to put a little bit more on. We don't want too much squeeze out, but we're going to have enough glue. There we go. Probably too much now. Sticks on the other side. So let's take a dowel, place it in the hole, tap it home. And then number 1, right hand. So I found number 1, right hand. Bit of glue in the hole to receive the dowel. It's a nice firm fit. Excellent. I'll do all the right hand side ones first, otherwise it's going to be a bit more difficult to put both sides together. I'll come back once I put all these others into the holes. See, we've got all 4 located now. I'm going to repeat the process but for the opposite side. So glue, locate the dowel, and now the fun part is to bring both sides together, so I'm just going to put some glue into the receiving dowel holes. And remember that they're numbered, so the numbers need to align. All being well, they should just slide into place. Okie doke. I'm just going to tap these home now. Now, you do need clamps, I'm afraid, to pull these together. I'm just going to get my clamps and set them in place. And then because there's only one dowel, just make sure that the spacer hasn't spun in its place, so that it's still sitting fairly flush with the edges. All four corners clamped now. I'm just going to get a rag and wipe away the excess glue and leave that to set. This has dried off now, it's actually the next day. Let's take the clamps off, see what we've got. Excellent, I'm really pleased with that. Sanding again. I'm going to start sanding. I'll show you when I finish sanding. Okay guys, I've done the sanding now. I've gone down to 120 grit. I'm happy with 120. You could go finer if you wanted, 240. What I have also done is I've rounded the edges off on mine. And I've used a router to do that. You don't have to do it. The ones that I've seen in the for sale isn't rounded off. But you could also just do that with sandpaper or with a sander if you wanted to. Now I'm going to apply some deep mahogany Danish oil. I'm going to take several coats to do this. I've got my apron on because this is going to be a messy job, and I also need some gloves. You could put this in a bowl or a dish if you wanted to. I tend not to. Maybe that's because I'm lazy. I'm going to do the face that would be screwed onto the wall when it's finished first. Because that clearly needs protecting as well. And a particular attention to the end grain to make sure that soaks up the Danish oil. Great thing about Danish oil is it's very easy to apply. You don't need to give it too much attention. Just make sure you work it in to each nook and cranny. Just coming to the end of my first coat now. There's lots of different levels and angles and faces, so just make sure that you've done every one, because the worst thing would be that you come to do the second coat and you've actually missed one on the first coat. There we go. I'm going to allow that to soak in for a short time, and then I'll get a clean cloth, wipe that over, and then I'm going to set that aside for a few hours to dry before putting the second coat on. Always remember, leave your rags open, because as they dry they generate heat. If you screw them up, throw them into a bin or something, the theory is that they could set fire. So always spread them out, allow them to dry off, and no heat involved. I've hung the towel rack. I've used picture brackets to hang it on the wall. I put my logo on it. Who doesn't like to have their logo on their work? Especially if you're showing it in your own home. Have it in pride of place. I love the colour. I use dark mahogany Danish oil on it. I use 3 coats. Nice waterproofing as well. I should probably have put better towels in, but I've put in what I've got at the moment. I think my nicer ones are probably in the wash. Would I have done anything different with this build? Yes, I think so. I think possibly it's just a little bit too tall. I'd have made it a bit shorter. And maybe not as deep against the wall either. A couple of centimetres difference, I think, would have made all the difference in the world. I've got large bath towels on the bottom and then going up to smaller hand towels. I'm thinking of making another one for face cloths, but we'll see. I'm very happy with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you've made one yourself, post the pictures. Let's see what you've made. And if you like the video, please subscribe, hit that like button, and maybe even share it and hit the bell. It would really help this small channel with the algorithms. Let me know what you think below, guys. I'd love to hear your comments and I will reply. Thanks all.